All right, welcome back to another episode of ADHD and Crochet. As you can see, we are back with the whale. So I've pinned the fins off camera. This is again a pattern by Crafty Intentions. I will list them in the description of the video. And today we are doing the celestial whale fins. So they look like feathered wings. The pattern calls for like 2 more sets, but I kind of ran out of yarn, and that's fine. Probably would have been a bit much. So as you can see here, we do have 3 layers for the wings here. I've pinned the very bottom layer because that's going to be the easiest to start attaching at, and then we'll work our way up for each layer. Joining me on the table today is my oldest cat, Snickers, and then Panzer is somewhere in the room. Oh, I've mentioned Snickers, so she left. And now we have Panzer, who hopefully won't be too much of a menace today. And I actually have my pin box today. Now I'm not sewing through both layers at one time just because of the position everything is in. It makes it rather difficult to try and do that. And I had left enough yarn from each layer to go ahead and use its specific color to attach to the body. Some stitches are going to be a little more secure than others, and that's okay. We're going to have 3 layers being sewn on here. I think it will be plenty stable. I guess Panzer is planning on being good this time so he doesn't get kicked out like he did last time. Now, I'm not sure how long just the fins are going to take since the belly took an entire hour last time. So we'll see. If this doesn't take the entire time I have planned, I do have another project that is waiting on the sidelines. Sometimes these stitches like to be a little difficult. But we have reached the end of this green here. I'm going to go ahead and fasten it off. Pull it through. Get our scissors and snip snip. Some of the stuffing came out, so we're going to push that back in. Now we are done with the green. Put that on the cat. And we're going to hide this little beginning tail here. Push my needle through. Work this real short bit of yarn through. Pull. And shove. Being difficult. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the pink. Since we have our stable base here, I don't really need to pin it. Just kind of keep it in the same place as the other. We're going to start right above that initial green stitch, and start pulling this down. And we're just going to do this a few more times. Now, while not all the colors kind of match together, I do think the solid colored wings kind of tie in the rest of the beast. And we're going to make our knot. Put my string back on the needle here, just so we can hide it in the body. Just like that. Now we have 2 layers attached. Snip, snip. Boy for the cat. And let's hide that little pink string there. Now there's quite a bit here. I'm going to do this again. Put my needle in. And pull it through. Now it's in a spot that isn't going to be seen. Alright, so let's go ahead and get on to the last layer of this side, the white layer. This one is a little bit different. It does go a little bit higher than the other 2 layers. We're going to just line it up how we want it to be. And that should be good. We've got to pull everything through. Miss Panzer has made himself comfortable on the whale. When I'm finished with this and need to move it, he's not going to be very happy. But I guess he'll get over that. Alright. So we're going to do one last stitch here to secure that. And we will make our little knot. And hide the strings. Speaking of string, stop trying to eat that one. Not for you. Having a pet that runs around the house and is not in a cage all the time is a lot like having a toddler, in my opinion. They're constantly trying to put things in their mouths that they should absolutely not. This one was far enough away to start that we can just snip this one off. So we have one side attached. Not going anywhere. Sorry for slapping the mic with the wing there. Most people would probably edit out things like that. I don't know how. Excuse me, cat. You are a little bit in the way. There we go. As you can see, I do also have the tail pinned on. Which does make moving this a little bit difficult. That's okay. And we're just going to put that pin away before it gets somewhere it should not. We're going to work our way down this first layer of the second fin. Get through both layers here. Seems like it wants to cooperate today, at least for now. Sometimes it helps to have these more flexible needles. There's also needles that are a little bit bent at the end on purpose. Those help get through the layers as well. Don't know how visible he is, but he's attacking a ruler up against the wall there. And now we can hide this string in the body. Snip, snip. Shove that back in. And then we're going to hide this string. Shove, shove, maybe. There we go. And now that we've got that nice and secure, we can start on the next layer. Nice and repetitive. I gave some whale facts last time. I haven't learned anything new. So if you want to hear those whale facts, go watch the other one. Or go find someone who actually is a fun fact channel. That is also an option. It's where I tend to get a lot of my information. Don't drop your needle. And last one on the pink layer. Make a nice little knot here. Looks like we're going to need to stuff the stuffing back in. Just kind of do that real quick. And then we'll come back over here and hide this pink string here. Just like before. Pull it through. And this one's pretty short, so we'll just shove it back in. Maybe. There we go. Now we're on to the last layer of this side, the white layer. Find where it wants to sit. And just kind of start from there. This layer is quite short in comparison to the other layers, just because it is that top layer and it gives that fluttery, feathered look. The tail fin was also supposed to be 3 layers, but I kind of ran out of this pink color. Didn't have enough for a new piece. So it's just the pink, or the blue, green, and white. And is only 2 layers instead of 3, which I think still looks good. But you guys will see that momentarily as we finish up here with the front fins. And we should have, there it is, one more little string here. Gonna find our way in a little bit of a tight space. Can be difficult. I could just tuck it up under the wing, but that would bother me. Now the front fins are attached. Now time to move things over. We're going to use yarn bee for a second. So the tail fin obviously is quite a bit larger. Move the white layer out of the way so that I can see the green layer. And let's get to it. We're going to sew around that little pin for a second there, because this one's not very stable. Now that we've got that on there, we can put the other one away and continue our stitching. So it looks like we will have time for our next project after this, because we've only gone about 20 minutes. Hopefully, I'll be able to show off some smaller projects and stitch those together for you guys. You'll have a little more variety and things for me to talk about. Now, when we get to the end here of the tail tip, towards the tail fin, I will probably leave this string out so that we can sew the fin parts together as well for a couple of stitches, just to give it a little extra security here. I do also still need to hide the end of the tail tip there. We'll get to that when we get to it. We're done with that string. Let's go ahead and hide this string. And we can put the next layer on. So this layer is going to start a little bit higher. And Panzer has decided to be a menace, so I need to remove him. Come here. And he's going to come bother me because I removed him for what he wanted. This is acceptable. He loves kisses. One of his favorite things to get. Hi. He has many nicknames, but he is still cute and a baby, despite being 5 years old. Apparently my microphone turned off. I think Panzer did that. I don't know at what point he turned it off, but he did. I'm gonna blame him. That's okay. A couple minutes of quiet. Apparently he got offended by me blaming him for the microphone turning off. Which it seems like my microphone. I just had to run and get the backup microphone because the battery ran out on the first one. It doesn't exactly tell me how much battery it has. But this one should work for the rest of this. We're going to hide that extra string there. Maybe. And then we're going to go on to the next fin, which does require moving the whale around. This is going to have to do. Let's figure out where these strings go and where they come from. Like they are Cotton Eye Joe. Go. And we'll go ahead and sew this other side on. Panzer has this unfortunate habit of chewing on things that he should not chew on. There's the pin. Sometimes it's difficult to find them. And sometimes you bury your box. So we're going to keep stitching this on one loop at a time. Yell at the cat for chewing on things because he's destructive when he's bored. Even though he has 1.5 million toys he could go play with and 3 other cats he could go play with, he instead wants to chew on my things because he is the baby. And because he is the baby, of course the world revolves around him. He is the youngest cat that I have. So of course he's the most troublesome. And of course he's adorable, so he gets away with it. Alright, so now that I've reached the end of the tail tip here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie these strings together. That just kind of closes this gap here a little bit. We're going to leave one to hide in the tail tip, and we're going to use the other to stitch these parts together a little bit. So we have a little bit of unity here at the end. Get that all on there. And I think that's far enough. Maybe one more. And we're going to make our knot. I'm going to put this through again just to make it a little more sturdy since we're at an end here. And then we're just going to weave our string in and into the tail tip. Now that we're in with that one, we're going to weave the other two ends in. And lastly, the pink. I like to try and pull through the same hole. I don't know why. I don't really have a rhyme or reason for it, because it doesn't really make cutting any easier. And shove, shove. Green is attached. And now we're going to sew on the white. Oh, I almost forgot. We have a little bit of green to hide still. Gonna push that all the way through and shove, shove. All right, now we're on to the white. Now I have my whale body pillow almost done. It will probably live somewhere in my house. This particular product will not be shown on my Instagram, but the one we're going to do after this will. And it will be available for sale. I will probably eventually make a smaller, more reasonable sized one of these. But I do have a few projects in the making right now. One is a multi-part project. So I'm making all the little parts for that, and then we will sew it together on a video like this. But that one's probably going to take a little bit of time, so I will probably make some additional things in between for these videos and go from there. Seems my battery doesn't want to cooperate once more, so give me a moment. All right. Looks like we're back in business here. We've hidden our string here, so let's snip this one off. Hide this last little bit. And our whale is done. So I am going to move the whale. And get our next project here. I may at some point put up a picture of the finished whale. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to the octopus. This is the other project that I have going on right now. This one is particularly fun for me because I have a lot of creative liberties with it. So like these little ones, as you can see here, I've put it in an oyster shell with a pearl. The shell and the pearl are real freshwater oyster and freshwater pearl. So I've crocheted the little octopus and then glued it into the shell. So we are at least going to sew the octopus together. For this one, I do have a shell for it as well. This shell is not an oyster, but we're going to pretend. And it looks like none of my microphones want to work. We're just having some technical difficulties today, and that's okay. play musical microphones here. So the first thing I want to do here is, this is actually a realistic octopus pattern. I will include it in the description as well. I don't remember who actually made this pattern, but it was not me. So I will credit who did make it in the description. Gives a few options for how to do the eyes. I chose to put glass beads in. And then it also has you make the funnel, which is octopus breathes, where it siphons water from. So I chose to do the funnel in a different color. And we're just going to sew that in real quick. Once we've got that sewn in, we can stuff the octopus and put the bottom on. Now this is one of my needles that has dropping things. This is one of my needles that has the bent tip. So we're going to go with that. Makes it a little easier when working in these tight spaces. And what I've actually used to crochet here is not a normal yarn. It is actually a macrame cord. So it just kind of goes to show that you can use really any material. Alright, so now that we've got the funnel in place, I'm just going to hide our string here. Cut it in there. And then we're going to take our stuffing and stuff the mantle and the head. Now this is very tough yarn, a tough material, so it's going to hold its shape pretty well on its own. So I don't need to put that much stuffing in it. So now that we've got that all stuffed, we can take our bottom here and attach it. I'm going to remove this little string here because it is not doing anything for us. I will probably keep that for later. And I apologize if the sound quality has changed. Again, my microphones just don't want to cooperate right now, which happens. So we are going to carefully work our way around and just kind of attach this bottom piece here. Some spots are going to be easier to attach than others. And that just kind of has to do with if there's prior stitching or things like that. Now the fun part about cephalopods like an octopus in crafting is that they are able to change the colors of their body. So any color you choose is technically correct. They are fascinating and intelligent creatures. And they're probably one of my favorite ocean-dwelling creatures. Now I will be posting this one when it is finished. I don't think I will finish it this video. I'll just finish sewing it together and then I will attach it to the shell next video. But I will be posting the smaller ones. I do have 3 of them currently that will be available for purchase. So I've got that Eastery colored one that I displayed earlier and was showing off, and then I've got this rainbow one over here and the blue. So all of those will be available for purchase. Once this one is fully put together, it will also be available for purchase. Now this pattern does give you the option to put suction cups on each of the arms. I opted not to do that this time because it is a good amount of work. And honestly, because he's getting glued to some seashells, you're not going to see it anyway. I will probably make another tiny octopus as well. I'm still deciding what color I want to do that one in. The next tiny one will probably not be glued into a shell, but it will be part of another bigger project. Dropping things. All right, so I think we are at the last couple stitches here. Yeah, it looks like it. So we'll start shutting things down. So again, the small octopi will be available on my Instagram. I will include that in the description of the video. And we will finish off this bigger octopus next time, and we will get him in his new home, and I will probably have a few additional things to put alongside him. But until then, Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for the technical difficulties throughout, but I will see you guys in the next one. Give us a like, maybe subscribe if you feel like it, and have a great one.